Good morning, kingdom builders. Good morning, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives. Today's Saturday, day 13 of our 30-day challenge. And our challenge is about allowing the flow of life to take place without interruption, without judgment, without over-analysis. And today I'm going to tell you a real story that happened to me 3 days ago. I have a few people in the business community that I don't want to call them friends. We haven't reached that level, but they are people that I get business advice, encouragement, and to a certain extent, mentorship. And one of them called me the other day just to check on me, and he sounded low. And I asked him, "Hey, what's going on? Everything good?" And he said, "Man," and he just starts. And what I look at is complaining. He just paid $200,000 to repair something that was going on with his swimming pool. He had so many other financial responsibilities, and he's got the money to cover it. He's got plenty. He's, doing very, very well financially. And he tells me, my wife asks me how come I'm not happy as I used to be when we first got married. And she doesn't realize it's because of all of this stuff. And he says to me something so profound, and he didn't even realize it. He said, all I want to do is get back to serving God. And I can't even meditate. I can't even do the things that I want to do when it comes to serving the Lord. And I asked him, well, you got money. How come you can't make time to do these things? And we were on the phone for about 40 minutes. I looked at the time and I was like, look, we've been on the phone for 40 minutes. You could easily put the phone down and go meditate right now. You can wake up tomorrow and let that be the first thing you do. And I don't know if it resonated with him. He just said, yeah, you're right. Thank you. And that was it. And that's what today is about. Today is about the cost that we pay with our attention. You hear about pay attention. What are you paying with? And what I realized after talking to him is money, success, wealth, it doesn't always give you more. The thing is, it gives you more things to think about. It doesn't just give you more. It gives you more things to have as things on your list. And I don't know that Jesus said there was anything inherently bad about money. After all, he encouraged the ones that invested and doubled the money. But what if Jesus was more focused on our priorities? And so the guy that I spoke with, he's got millions. Tens of millions. He's doing about 30 million a year. I'll just be completely transparent. So he's not an average person. And by most people's standards, he's won in life. He's doing well. And what he told me, he confessed that he wished life was simpler. He said he wished he could go back to when he only had one car, a smaller house. He didn't have all these expenses. And he only had a few thousand in his account, where most of us are today, by the way. And the only reason he wanted to do that was because he wanted to spend more time with God. And I think he didn't tell me this, but I think at that time his mind felt closer. His mind was quieter. And he felt more connected. And now, more money, more problems, more responsibilities, more obligations, more decisions, more distractions, less peace. And so I think the kingdom problem is rarely, maybe never, about money. Because again, Jesus never said that money was evil. And the Bible doesn't teach that either. Solomon had money. David had money. It's about where we place money in our lives. And this is not just money. Anything that we place in a master position, which means it controls us, that's when the evil starts. When our minds become filled with chasing, accumulating. Because what I've seen is every possession has a mental, spiritual price and a burden. The house, you got to maintain it. You have to pay the taxes. The pool has to be serviced. The car has to be serviced. The business has to be managed. The investments have to be watched. The school fees have to be paid. The emails need to be answered. The phone, all of these things are bandwidth that is taken from the mind. And none of these things are bad. But together, it's like on your iPhone, you've got all these apps running, and they each take away a little bit of your battery. Eventually, you got to keep recharging that battery or it's going to die. And for those of you who love science and who love proof and evidence like me, in science, this is called cognitive load. And the cognitive load is just a scientific term that it describes how much information your brain is actively carrying. Because your brain has limited working memory, which means at any given time, it can only access so much. And so when you have these unfinished tasks, these obligations, decisions, worries, fears, the less mental bandwidth you have for creativity, the less mental bandwidth you have for prayer, for meditation, for being present in the moment, because your mind is occupied with other things. And in science, it's called attentional residue. Everything that's unresolved, every conflict, every concern that you haven't resolved, it leaves a little trail inside your mind. And your mind is staying attached to it. Oh, did I close the fridge when I left the house? Did I close the garage? Did I finish my work yesterday? Oh, I have to do this tomorrow. And you might be sitting in prayer. You might be sitting in meditation, but your mind, your attention is at the office. It's on the bank account. It's on the customer who complained about the work you did. It's on the broken phone, the car that needs to be refilled, next week's payroll. So the body is there, but the mind is broken. And most of us listening to this are, or at least we call ourselves Christians, we call ourselves followers of Christ. But remember what Jesus said about this. He didn't say, think about the kingdom when everything else is handled or after you've made success. In Matthew 6, Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Wow. We read this and we skip over it. We take it so easy and lightly. Seek first. Whenever there's a first, a second, it's just a precedence, a priority is being set. So you can seek the money. You can seek relationships, but seek first the kingdom of God. And if the kingdom of God was somewhere you went when you died, how would you seek it? So this is not talking about after life seeking. This is talking about right now. I believe the kingdom of God, just as Jesus said, is within you. I believe, just as Jesus said, you got to be childlike to enter into the kingdom of God. So what is that kingdom of God? Maybe it's peace, where peace lives. Maybe it's where creativity lives. And it says, if we seek the kingdom of God first and his righteousness, everything else is added. It didn't say seek first and then go seek the rest. So what I'm getting from this is all we need to do is seek the kingdom of God. And then everything else will be added. We don't even have to seek those things. We don't have to seek them. Now, it does say also, seeking you will find. But maybe the seeking he was referring to was the kingdom. Maybe it wasn't about seeking cars or seeking relationships, but it was about seeking peace. Because everything else that we try to seek, we never finish seeking it. There's always another project, always another responsibility. And you don't seek the kingdom when the distractions disappear. Like my guy said, he doesn't even have the time, the bandwidth. The kingdom is found when you stop feeding those things that are occupying your time in front of the kingdom. Because remember, what you constantly think about, what you constantly meditate on, that becomes our reality. And again, this is not just some biblical stuff here. This is scientific. This is neuroscience. Repeated thoughts, repeated patterns in our mind. What they do is they strengthen those neural pathways because the brain is going to be better at whatever it practices daily, hourly, weekly. If you spend years solving problems, you become a professional problem solver. You spend years worrying, they call you a worrywart. You spend years checking notifications, scrolling. All those things, when it comes time to pray, to meditate, it feels unnatural. It feels hard. Some people can't even meditate for 30 seconds because they've spent their life worrying, the busy mind. And I'm one of those people. I used to be one of those people. My attention used to be all over the place. And remember, this was what the rich young ruler's real problem was. We look at it and we think it was the money. It wasn't the money. Remember, the rich young ruler asked, how do I get life eternally? And Jesus tells him to sell everything and follow me. The man left sad because Jesus wasn't asking him to lose money. Jesus was asking him to release his attachment. When you sell things, that shows I got money. I can release all this stuff. This stuff is not even yours. But that man's possessions had become his identity. Are we allowing our possessions, my car, my watch, my purse, to become our identity? Who we are? When we show up, I can't go out without putting on this or doing, this is my identity. Because when your identity becomes attached to your possessions, when you have to release them on your own, it feels like death. And that's what this ruler felt. It felt like death for him to have to sell all his riches. That was who he was. We think we own these things when in reality, they own us. They own us because if we can't detach from them, what does that say about the relationship? We've become the servant. And there's a big, big difference in allowing versus accumulating. And I think this is where we have to really ask God for guidance. Because people hear allowing and they think, well, does that mean I shouldn't have anything? No. You can have all you want. It's not even about having less. It's just about those things that you have, holding on to them differently. You can own a business without the business owning you. You can have money without worshiping money. You can have cars, resources, private jets, and not be possessed by them. What this allowing is everything I have is flowing through me, not attached to me. Everything I have can come and go. I want them. I like them. I don't love them and I don't need them. I steward them. If I have the private jet, I use it to get to places to change the world, to serve God's people. I don't cling to it. I manage it. I don't become those things. I don't become my Louis Vuitton shirts. They're nice to have. They're great quality, but I can be with it or without it. I can be content. It doesn't need to be worshipped. And why does this get harder over time? Because we drift. You don't wake up one day disconnected from God. That takes time. One thought, one possession, one distraction, one success at a time. I think the more money you have, the harder it is to depend on God without a project. And what I mean by that is when you have money, you've got options. Think about it. Your hardest prayers, the strongest prayers are when you had nothing. The only time that we tend to pray hard is when we're in difficulty, when we don't have the relationship, when we want it, when we don't have the successful business, we're looking for it. But the moment we get it and life is at peace, we slowly tend to drift. And then years later, we realize, man, I got everything I prayed for, but less of the peace I had before it. The tragedy is not the success. The tragedy is forgetting what mattered before the success arrived. And that's why we're starting this habit today, before the millions, before the billions for some of us. Don't buy into the lie that when I finally get everything under control, then I'll spend time with God. Don't do that. The kingdom doesn't work that way. The kingdom is not found after you get control. The kingdom is found after you submit, after you surrender. And the art of allowing teaches us that peace is not on the other side of less problems, being a hermit. Peace is on the other side of carrying less things mentally, freeing your mind, allowing God to be in its rightful place. So today, ask yourself, what am I thinking about? Not what do I say I'm thinking about or what do I say is important, but what is important? What is occupying my mind most of the day? Am I thinking about some future business? Am I thinking about, what am I thinking about? What receives my attention? Because whatever you're constantly thinking about, and it's in the Bible as well, it said, wherever the heart is, there's the treasure. Wherever the treasure is, there's the heart. But whatever you're thinking about is going to reveal what you worship. And so for some of you, you might not like that statement. And sorry, I'm not here to keep the gloves on. This is just truth. Whatever you have your attention on reveals what and where and how you worship. And go look that up. Go look up what worship actually means before you get offended. Because whatever's occupying your mind over time has become your priority. And whatever you're putting first in your life is essentially taking the place of God. This is not judgment, okay? If you feel like you're being judged, sorry. But not sorry. Sometimes we need the truth. And this is just the truth. And you know what? This is not just the truth for you. This is the truth for me. This is something I got to remind myself every day. And I'm getting slowly, every day I'm getting better at releasing the need to control. The verse is, where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. It was Matthew 6. And maybe if we had to put it in our language today, it's where your attention goes, your life follows. So the art of allowing, it's all about loosening that grip, letting go. Stop carrying what was never ours to carry. Release the mental clutter, the mental chatter, and return to stillness, return to presence, return to peace, return to the kingdom. Not because we have less or we want less. You can still have goals. But because we finally remember what matters the most, what we should be doing first. And that's God. Seek God first. I pray that this message aligns with your spirit today, and that today will be a day that you recommit to putting God first. And this is not about waking up and starting your day with God. That's one way. But putting God first in every decision you make. Before you take that business deal, seek God first. Before you go and get that operation, seek God first. Before you take any money from anybody, whether it's a loan, whether it's an investment, seek God first. Seek the kingdom of God first in your life and watch what happens. Seek God first before you go out on that date. Seek God first before you respond to your wife, to your husband about that thing that you didn't like. Seek the kingdom of God first in everything that you do. Make it a priority and watch how your life changes. Watch how the world around you changes. Watch how people start to notice there's something different about you. Because you don't seek God first without benefits. You don't seek God first without results. You don't seek something as heavy as the kingdom of God without there being an external manifestation of something. And it's going to come. The peace is going to come. The joy is going to come. The laughter is going to come. All those things are going to come back to you when you seek God first.